I've already paid $40,000 wishing for your happiness, and yet you talk about me as if I'm just a wallet or an ATM? Being all high and mighty over such petty cash, I don't recall being in your debt. Emily, the wife of the eldest son, laughed mockingly. If you're gonna complain so much, why not just stop paying? After all, I'm an elite, so that's chicken feed for me. This is how even Oliver, the eldest son I raised, behaves now. On top of the $15,000 engagement gift I had to pay, $25,000 for the wedding. Instead of gratitude, I get this treatment. They've only ever seen me as a cash cow. I brought him up wrongly. I won't ever be at their beck and call again. I understand your feelings very clearly now. Are you sure about that? I won't let you see your grandchild, you know? I retorted to Oliver, who had threatened me. That's fine, I won't need to see them. I'll happily stop paying. From here on, the fall of the eldest son and his wife, who ridiculed me as a cash cow, begins. My name is Ella. I'm 56 years old this year. 12 years ago, after my husband passed away due to illness, I struggled on my own with work and raising my 2 children. Currently, I'm an executive at a decent company I've been working at since before I got married, often referred to as a career woman by society. My children, who were in high school when my husband died, have both graduated from college and now have jobs, so I'm somewhat relieved. I'd be happy if both of them could start their own families. With these thoughts, I've been living comfortably alone in the apartment I used to live in with my children. One day, I received a message from my eldest son, Oliver. I want to introduce my fiancée to you soon. I gladly accepted his request. Oliver, who will be 28 this year, works in sales at a major corporation. Though he was a bit of a show-off and I worried about him when he was younger, it seems he's finally settled down. And then on a Sunday, the day I was looking forward to arrived. Mom, long time no see. This is my fiancée, Emily. Nice to meet you. I hope we get along well. Emily, who was introduced to me, apparently works as a receptionist at Oliver's company. Her appearance was radiant beauty, and I couldn't help but be impressed that my son's fiancée was such a catch. Oh my, congratulations on your engagement. I fully support your happiness. I smiled brightly and our conversation flowed naturally. After a while, the topic shifted to the engagement gift. So we'd like to have the engagement ceremony soon. I see. I'll have to prepare for it too. Mom, can you prepare $15,000 for the engagement money? I was momentarily surprised. I thought I might help him prepare for his big life event. But the amount considered was at most around $7,000. However, seeing their happy faces, I couldn't bring myself to say anything but, all right, it's a joyous occasion after all. Later, my daughter Ava, Oliver's elder sister, came to visit. Ava, how's work going? I had a deadline yesterday. I'm doing all right, so don't worry. Ava is a comic artist. While she hasn't had a huge hit, she has a regular series and seems to be making a living from it. Given her talent for drawing and her love for comics since she was young, it might be her true calling. By the way, Mom, I heard Oliver is getting married? Yes, that's right. He brought his fiancée, Emily, over to introduce her recently. Speaking of which, they mentioned an amount of $15,000 for the engagement gift. Really? People still do dowries nowadays? $15,000 does sound steep, but I've heard that they might use that money towards the wedding, or even give back half of it, calling it a dowry return. Is that how it is? It's a significant event in one's life, so it's just how it is. It's hard for you too, Mom, but maybe it can't be helped. You're right. It is a joyous occasion after all. Then on the day of the dowry ceremony, I gave them the promised $15,000 as agreed. Both Emily and her parents looked very happy. We will use this for our new life together, they said as they put away $15,000. I had expected a dowry return, but there wasn't one. However, I told myself that this was just the nature of dowries. If it ensures their happiness and a blissful marriage, then it's fine. Yet, a few days later, I was hit with another shock from Oliver. We want our wedding to be grand, with many guests from the company and other associates. Maybe around 250 people. That sounds wonderful. So, Mom, I'll be counting on you to make the prepayment for the wedding. Wait, am I supposed to pay for it? I had always assumed that couples paid for their own weddings. Please, Mom, it's common for parents to pay for the wedding, isn't it? But I already gave a lot for the dowry, didn't I? Emily's parents are frail and can't be relied upon. After we receive the wedding gifts, I'll pay you back. Reluctantly, I opened the invoice Oliver handed me, only to find a large amount. Staggering amount of $25,000. I felt dizzy, thinking about how grand their wedding would be if this was just the advance payment. Wait a minute, isn't this a bit too much? Why not have a ceremony within your means? Emily says she doesn't want to compromise because it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. Plus, wouldn't you want to show her parents how happy she looks? Hearing this, I felt like I couldn't refuse. I understand. It's a once-in-a-lifetime joyous occasion, after all. As I said this, Oliver grinned and said thank you, and then went home. Later, I transferred the $25,000 as an advance payment to the wedding venue. It was tough to dip into the savings I had been setting aside for my retirement, but I told myself, it's for my child's happiness. 2 months later on the wedding day, the venue was indeed luxurious, and it took me by surprise. I went to the venue early in the morning with Ava, changed into a formal dress, and got my hair set. Just as I was about to knock on the door of the bride and groom's waiting room, I overheard their conversation from inside. We're so lucky to have such a lavish ceremony thanks to my mom. Totally. She gave us $15,000 for the dowry, and I even got a new bag with it. She's like a walking wallet. More like an ATM. Let's keep withdrawing from her. Oh, Oliver, you're so bad. Ava and I were frozen in place, overhearing their conversation. Emily joyfully said, if we ask, she'll probably pay the remaining cost of the wedding, right? Of course she will. Just leave it to me. Then, with the wedding gifts, let's go on a honeymoon to Hawaii. And of course, my parents will come with us. Maybe she can even buy us a luxury condo? That sounds great. Let's get my mom to pay for that, too. She has the money, after all. The hand I had raised to knock started trembling. Ava gently pulled me away from the door. As I took deep breaths, I held Ava's hand on my shoulder and said, Ava, once the ceremony starts, there's something I'd like you to check for me. Of course, Mom. Leave it to me. And so Oliver and Emily's wedding ceremony began. Even when I heard their vows in the chapel, and when the reception started with a toast, the conversation I overheard kept replaying in my mind. Now let's welcome the groom's mother, Ella. Even when the spotlight was on me following the MC's introduction, all I could manage was to stand up and barely smile. Ava, who had been going around the venue and greeting guests, came back. Mom, I checked with Emily's relatives too. Both of Emily's parents are perfectly healthy. I knew it. This is too much. We should protest. I'll be with you. Just as Ava said this, it was time for the bride to change her dress. First, Emily left, and then it was Oliver's turn. The groom is now exiting. Escorting him is his proud mother, Ella, who raised him on her own. I was called upon to walk down the aisle to fetch Oliver. Oliver, who had had some drinks, was in a great mood and spoke into the MC's mix, saying things like, "This is my proud mother." With a blank expression, I walked next to Oliver, exited the hall, and went straight to the waiting room. Ava was already there, confronting Oliver. Hey, Oliver, we have something to ask you. What is it, sis? I have to change and go back, so make it quick. As he was undressing from his formal attire, Oliver responded brusquely. We heard your conversation in the waiting room earlier. How dare you talk about Mom like that? Huh? You heard? Whatever. I was shocked by Oliver's attitude when Emily, who had already changed into another dress, arrived. Mom? And Ava? What's going on? Ava lashed out at her. Excuse me, Emily. I heard that both your parents are doing well and working at great companies, so why are you making my mom bear all the expenses? What's going on? Eh? What's this? Are you trying to pick on the bride? It's scary, Emily exaggeratedly recoiled. The tolerance limit was reached due to her mocking attitude. I've already paid $40,000 wishing for your happiness, yet you call me wallet or ATM? What kind of attitude is that? Hearing this, Emily laughed mockingly. Proud over such a small amount? I don't recall being indebted. Besides, it's only natural for the groom's family to bear wedding expenses, right? But you lied about your parents being ill and bought a new bag instead. Ew, were you eavesdropping? That's so tasteless. Mind your tongue. When Ava angrily said this, Emily looked at her and responded, "I don't want to hear anything from an unmarried elder sister-in-law in her 30s. You work in some incomprehensible job like a comic artist. Maybe that's why you can't get married." "Exactly. Sis, you're hopelessly unmarried." "Mom, if you want to see your grandkids, you better not be rude to us." Ava wore a shocked expression and froze. Even to Ava? How could you both say such things? Facing me, who was about to scold him, Oliver said with a laugh, "If you're going to complain so much, try stopping the payments. Originally, I'm an elite. It'll be a breeze for me to earn that amount. Though, as a pity, the source of money will be gone. Despite making them pay $15,000 as a formal gift and another $25,000 for the wedding ceremony, this is their attitude. I made a mistake in raising my son. I won't let them manipulate me anymore. I've understood everything you both have said. Are you sure about this? If you won't listen to us, we won't let you see your grandchild, you know?" Facing the threatening Oliver, I defiantly responded, "I won't need to see them. I'll gladly stop paying." Oliver and Emily looked over with a dumbfounded expression. "We're cutting ties as parent and child after this. I wish you all the best." Saying so, I took Ava's hand and left the venue. From the wedding reception hall, the sounds of lively voices still echoed. 1 month later, I was having tea with Ava at home when the doorbell rang loudly. "Oh no, Mom, it's Oliver. What should we do?" "Fine, let him in." The Oliver I saw after a month seemed to have aged and looked exhausted. "What brings you here all of a sudden?" "Mom, you must have received the bill from the wedding venue, right? Why haven't you paid for it?" "Huh? Indeed, I received the bill. Was it $30,000 in addition? But I have no obligation to pay that." "Please don't say that. We couldn't gather enough gifts at the wedding, and now we can't make the payments. We've had to take out a loan." Laughing snidely, Ava chimed in. "From the conversations of the guests at the wedding, you both have quite a bad reputation. Oliver, you've been bossing people around at work and doing mediocre jobs, while Emily has been putting others down, especially women, over their looks and marital status. It's understandable that people didn't want to give gifts to such individuals." "Hey sis, shut up. Don't interfere," I sighed. "You two not only belittled me, but also the people around you. You brought this wedding expense upon yourself, so pay for it." Frantically, Oliver said, "What? I'm in trouble, Mom. Emily's wasteful spending isn't stopping, and now her arrogant parents are even coming to me for money. It's not new that Emily loves money, and given how she is, I could easily imagine her parents being the same way. Please, Mom, help us out. Lend us some money." Seeing Oliver plead with his hands, I sternly rebuked him. "You said it was chicken feed because you're an elite, right? That's why I stopped the payments, just to see what would happen. And didn't we also cut ties? I have no obligation to give you any more money." "Why, Mom? I don't want to be called Mom by someone who's treated me like a cash cow. In fact, I'd like a refund on the wedding and engagement money, but I'll write it off. Now leave at once." Oliver, who had been in shock, now displayed a vile expression. "Hey, you sure about this, Mom? You'll cut ties with us? What will you do in your old age without a husband? Do you really not want to see your grandchild's face? If that's the case, don't worry. I'm by Mom's side. What can an unsuccessful comic artist like you do? You can't even give birth, just shut up!" Oliver yelled, foam forming at the corners of his mouth. "Oh, scary, scary. You mock me as an unsuccessful comic artist or a geek, but my comic is among the top-selling comics this year. Did you know it's being adapted into an animation and a movie next year? At least I'm better off than a debtor like you." Yes, Ava had achieved great success in her work. "Hey sis, did you notice this?" That's right. Ava flaunted the ring on her left ring finger to Oliver. "I'm getting married to my editor-in-charge. He's a top-notch editor from a major publishing company, much more elite than you. So he can take care of Mom. You guys don't need to worry." "Well, I never really expected my children to take care of me anyway. Thank you, Ava. We're also going to have a wedding, but we'll handle everything ourselves. I'll invite Mom, but Oliver, you don't need to come," I said to a stunned Oliver. "Do you understand? Never involve yourself with us again." Ava and I forcefully pushed Oliver towards the entrance. "Hey, please, Mom and Sis. Oh, I remembered something. What? You decided to give me money? With a hopeful look, Oliver turned to us and I said, "The director who attended your wedding the other day?" I didn't know until now, but he's a client of my company. The fact that you were hired and the generous treatment you've received seem to have been in consideration for me, a major client, but I've told them to stop doing that. Hey, I didn't know about that, please stop. From now on, handle things on your own. Goodbye. Ava and I pushed Oliver out and locked the door with a click. Oliver was shouting outside, but when we ignored him, he eventually went silent. A year passed since then. I sold the house immediately to ensure that Oliver and Emily wouldn't visit. Emily wouldn't visit and purchased an apartment in a senior housing complex for my retirement. According to a neighbor from my previous apartment, Oliver and Emily had once come and caused trouble, shouting, "Why isn't she here?" So I believe my decision was correct. As for Oliver and Emily, their dream of a new luxury tower apartment faded, and they now live in a small apartment. In the end, Oliver was demoted due to his past behavior, perhaps because he fell from his elite status and his pride was hurt. Oliver's attitude towards others reportedly worsened. It's almost a wonder he hasn't been fired yet. Emily, who retired after getting married, continued her lavish spending for a while, but the couple's funds ran out quickly. Even with debt, Emily's extravagant habits didn't change, and she continues to rely heavily on her parents. It seems the couple fights daily now. I hope the two of them will learn the value of hard work and the importance of cherishing those around them and mature. Well, that might be impossible for those two, though. My relationship with Ava remains strong. Ava's husband is a good man. He treats me well. They are expecting a baby soon. I'm looking forward to seeing my lovely daughter and grandchild, and that's what keeps me going every day.